We are live. Outstanding. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 2 of Table Talk, where there's always a seat at the table. And I've got a full table today, and I am so excited about that. So we're going to start here. I got Mr. Bryan Nale with Iberia Bank Mortgage, blah, 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 blah. You want to finish that?
Iberia Bank Mortgage, a division of First Horizon.
That's a lot.
National Corporation, I believe. Yeah.
You just added that, didn't you?
No, it's a mouthful, but no, we're in the final stages of our merger, and I can't really talk a lot about that because I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know that we are slated to change our branding and our name in the early part of next year. So it's an exciting time for us.
But for now, it's just Bryan Nale, the best loan officer in Rutherford County.
That's what some people would say.
Yeah.
I try to live up to it.
That's awesome. Glad you're here. And then we got Skip Webb, one of the 4 partners at Cedar Glade Brews.
That is me. Just kind of do a dual role. I have a full-time job, and then I have another full-time job, which is the brewery.
So, that's right. I actually pulled him out of the brew space where we're about to go start working on some floors. Jeremy's over there probably cussing us right now. What do you think?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not a surprise. We scheduled this a long time ago. I know. Anyway, gotta love it. It's like having 3 marriage partners, isn't it?
Yes, very much so, with completely different personalities.
Yeah, and I'm kind of a pain in the neck. So, and then we've got the wonderful Rachel Ferrell, also a member of the J Harmon Home Team, holding it down in Coffee County. What's going on?
About? Not too much. I'm Rachel. I'm on the J Harmon Home Team. My goal is to help people live outside their mortgage.
I love that phrase, that slogan. So we had our first episode of this last week, and the idea behind this particular podcast is that we get a group of diverse folks together and we talk about a real estate topic and then a non-real estate topic. And it's fun to get, just whether it's business owners, whether it's real estate people, whether it's just literally saying, hey man, come be on my podcast. And it's, just somebody that we met in the coffee shop. That's a good thing. And so today is no exception. We are going to talk about 2 different topics. One is a real estate topic related to the term is iBuyers. So this is your Redfin has this Open Door, Zillow. What's the guy's name?
Gary Ashton.
Nope. Holy cow. What's the guy's name? I can picture him. He's out of Atlanta. He's out of Atlanta. Anyway, that guy. What is it?
Mark Spain.
Mark Spain. Thank you so much. Wow, I went totally blank. And what's funny is last week, Lacey was on here and she was worried about her going blank. And here I'm the first one that really did it. So that's great. So the story is that Zillow announced just yesterday, I guess it was, right? That they are stopping purchasing homes for the rest of this year. And this is a big deal because Zillow is a huge buyer nationwide and even in our area specifically. So you can go on to Zillow, for example, and you can say, send me an offer, instant offer, I think is what they call it, or something like that. And they send you an offer and you negotiate a little bit and they buy your house and then they turn around and sell it. So as a real estate agent, it can get a little tricky to navigate that because you'll have a client that'll get an offer sometimes before they ever engage with you. And then they'll ask you, well, is this a good offer? And so now you're kind of trying to justify whether or not they can do better, whether it's a good offer. And then we get into some weird stuff with some of those iBuyers where they have huge clauses in a lot of their verbiage where they're going to do a home inspection, but it's not really a home inspection. It's really more of a condition check because they don't come look at your house before they make an offer. And so they'll adjust the price. I mean, it can get a little squirrely sometimes. So I think any agent that tells you that it's not a threat to traditional real estate is lying to themselves and lying to you if they say that, or they don't understand it, right? The flip side of that is often, not always, but often we can do better, right? So a traditional agent can do better, but there's some headache offsets as well. Rachel, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think I think that makes a lot of sense. Back whenever I first started at the pandemic, I had a client that needed out quick. One of them had lost their job. The other one could pay the bills for so long, but we had a really short window of time to get them out of their house, to get them into a new house that made sense for them financially. And Zillow just was the best answer at that time for them, because they could close in 14 days. It gave them exactly what they needed to get out, because at that point, making money was not the goal. Getting out was the goal, so that they didn't default on their loan. And what was ironic is that that was the first shutdown of Zillow. We were under contract with them. We were slated to close, and we got an email that said, hey, because of COVID, we're not going to move forward. So they got earnest money from it. And we ended up selling it for about $20,000 more than what Zillow had even offered. So they did end up making money. But the earnest money that they earned from that failed transaction helped get them through the next 30 days. It was kind of a miraculous set of events to make that, to make their move.
Yeah, and so I guess to open it up to you guys, questions here. What would be a reason that you would potentially go with an iBuyer type situation, sight unseen offer? You don't even have your house on the market necessarily. You've asked them for that offer, and like what about that would be appealing?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it just kind of takes away some headache, takes away some uncertainties. And I think when somebody's making a major move like that financially, any uncertainty that you can take out of the equation can help some people feel more at peace with moving forward. So I got to think somebody that's going to use an iBuyer is somebody who just wants to have a clear path and know the numbers, know what they can expect, and they'd rather have that certainty than maybe the potential for, selling the house for a higher dollar amount.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Skip, you got any?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, take the hassle out of it. Just, I don't have to deal with it. Sell it, done, gone. Yeah.
And that's a big pitch that they make, is you don't have to show it. You don't have to have open houses. You don't have to, if you're scared of COVID, for example.
I was going to say, in these unpressive times,
oh dear Lord,
nobody has to come into the house.
That's right. They don't do a traditional home inspection, but they do come in and they will attempt to renegotiate a price based on paint, based on carpet, based on, I saw
silly
it on,
things.
Yeah.
It was like a guy from Home Depot came and just took pictures, and they just made little notes like this, plate didn't look right, or this whatever. So their initial offer got chipped at little by little by all of these different expenses.
Well, and there's a common misconception that it is a cheaper transaction as well, that the fees that Zillow charges are actually less, and they're not. In a lot of cases, they're actually higher than the fees that I charge.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that the fee is where their guaranteed income is, because they're not guaranteed to be able to sell the house for more than they're giving you for it. So the fee that they charge is really their insurance to come out of the transaction ahead.
100%. And so that brings me actually to the speculation and the stated reason, and then the speculation behind why Zillow has stopped. In our particular market, we've been seeing Rutherford County, for example, last month, and then a year ago last month, we saw 27% increases in home values year over year, which is, your word, unprecedented times. And so Zillow, in order to keep up with that, they're having to pay significant amounts of money. The word is out that their fees are higher. There's a lot of things. And so we're actually seeing offers that are higher than a kind of a guaranteed market value. Because usually when I price a home, I say, look, the comps show squarely right here.
Right.
However, because of our market, we can push to right here. And their offer is usually right in between those prices. They're very, very aggressive. Part of me thinks that it's sort of a market infiltration, long game kind of strategy, where it pushes some of us out of the business, right? It makes it harder for agents. And then at the end, it'll be almost like a Walmart approach. You know what I mean? Like, we're able to flush out a lot of the little guys, and only the strongest little guys will survive.
Right. And
we're going to be the big dogs on the playground. But then you have a situation where they just stop buying. So, their stated reason is that essentially it was a labor problem, is what it amounted to. So they're acquiring all these homes, they put a little bit of work into them, and they relist them to sell them. And to your point, a lot of times they end up taking a bath on them. So they will buy here and they'll end up selling at or below what they bought it. And so if they're having labor issues, and that means they have a backlog, which they do, of homes that they're just sitting on. And so it has to be a quick turn in order for them to justify, the fee as the only income, because they carry it for 3 months. They lost all their money.
Yeah.
Well, I was just sitting there thinking about some of the attractiveness and something that came to mind. And it may not be relative, but as society has moved forward and, handheld devices and attention spans and instant gratification, I wonder how much that plays a part in some of this. I mean, realistically,
Yeah.
I don't want to do the work. I don't want to have to put in the time. I don't want to have to put in the effort. It's that whole iPhone,
Well, and I don't want to meet with people. Like that has
Yeah.
started, especially through COVID. That's really taken root, where the idea of a husband and wife, or a husband or a wife, or a person sitting down with a stranger, or at least a semi-stranger, in their home to talk about their most important asset, suddenly they're uncomfortable doing that.
Right. Well, and to play devil's advocate a little bit on that, in terms of instant gratification, you get so far along in the process and you lose the instant gratification because you don't have somebody that you can text. You can't, after hours, after 5 o'clock, you have a question, you can't call me. I can't give
Tough
you
tomatoes.
an answer because I'm off the clock. Zillow is not available for you anymore. It's kind of like e-lending, where I just don't suggest e-lenders for a variety of reasons. I imagine as the Walmart of real estate rolls out, we just have to keep being Publix.
Well said.
Publix is good. Yeah. They're expensive, but they're worth it. Right.
They are worth it.
All right, Trent, where are we at on time on this topic? Okay, we got 1 more minute. Any other thoughts on that? I mean, it's interesting that they have this backlog. They have all these extra houses. They don't have the labor to fix it. Other companies, Open Door, for example.
Other companies don't have that problem. And I think that's interesting, since Zillow's the big dog. Zillow's the guy that always seems to be the leader in some of these decisions. And so I'm curious if the stated reason really is what's happening, or if they're taking a step back, allowing Open Door, Redfin to make these offers significantly over, and they take the bat.
And of course, all of the speculation is this some type of indication of pending doom, right?
Is it the first, measurement of the barometer that's going to, give you the signal that the weather's about to change?
Right.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, I think that barometer is so new. It's hard to really tell.
Well, anything economic, it's all emotion. It tends to be self-fulfilling prophecy. So, what do you think? Send us some comments. Let us know what you think about Zillow pulling out of the house buying industry for the next 3 months. Be interested to see what you think. Okay. How'd we do? We had 13 minutes? Right on. That's good. Didn't even mean to do that. Okay. Now, this is a fun one. Non-real estate topic is local businesses. Skip and I are in the process, along with our other 2 partners, Alicia and Jeremy, and opening a new business here in town, Cedar Glade Brews. And, there's a lot of folks out there that would love to start a new business. They have no idea where to start. They have no idea how that works. They hear all kinds of myth. They hear all kinds of just speculation, and everybody's got an opinion. So
everybody has an opinion.
Yeah, including Mr. Skip Webb.
Yes.
So Skip, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting because, this is so totally different from anything all 4 of us have done in our professional career. Even though we all brought certain talents to the table, this was completely new. One, it's dealing with, tax bureaus and things related to alcohol, but, and also, starting a new business in, Rutherford County and Murfreesboro, which, there's always been a perception that you can't do business here, and which I don't think we found that's the case. I think they have been really willing to work with us. A lot of it is some of the codes and everything, I think, or in some of the different departments are not been faced with some of the challenges of new businesses coming here that are so diverse and different. So there's not really regulations for that, or the regulations are so old that they're trying to put to it. So you sit down and talk with them. We take the approach that, please help us, help us help you, or help,
help us help you help us.
Yeah, exactly. So, once you start taking that, hat in hand kind of approach and, work with us, and we came across some challenges and we questioned it, but we questioned it not from a, well, I'm going to get my attorney and we're going to come back and, we're going to hash it out, more of, please help us understand why. So, and
a lot of times when it was something that was challengeable,
yeah,
they didn't know why. We got the, well, that's just the way we've always done it.
Exactly.
And you guys know me well enough to know that, well, that just doesn't really work for me.
No, it really doesn't.
And so, as we started working through this process, I think that anybody that wants to start, a business here, or start a business in general, whether it's here or anywhere else, is, you've really got to do your research and look at what you're doing and what affects it. Honestly, probably the first thing would be to sit and talk with an accountant or somebody in the financial world that would understand, the tax liabilities, the permitting, everything that you need. 'Cause, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'll just go out and I'll rent that building and I'll start fixing it up." And we've seen that in a couple of places around here, and all of a sudden the big green labels on the door that says "Stop,"
cease and desist.
Yeah. So, it's doing your homework, so you don't, you know what you're getting into before you get into it.
Well, and I think the thing that we've learned a lot of, and I'd love for you guys to jump in on this, is we sat down and we went over it, I don't know, 500 times how much it's going to cost us to get started. And then we went over it again, and then we went over it again, and then we went over it with some other people that are, experts, and we went over it one more time after that, and we were still wrong.
And it's not wrong going down; it's always wrong going up.
It is never wrong going down. Yeah.
And so I mean, it's whatever you think it's going to be. Add a third,
or 50%.
Yeah,
yeah. Sometimes.
So it's a little challenging, and I think in retrospect, we kind of went into it a little wide-eyed and and optimistic, and have learned some hard lessons along the way. But we've survived it, and we're getting close, and get through with this. Get to go over and play with etching floors and all that.
That's
good
right.
stuff,
Muriatic acid. Here we come.
Yeah. Yep.
So, what do you guys think? Small business questions or thoughts? Like, what are some things that you think about?
So, I've been a diplomat with our Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce since 2009. So, thinking like that's 13 years. I've been out there in the community, just going to ribbon cuttings and celebrations of small businesses, networking events and things. And I've always had such a tremendous amount of respect for somebody who's willing to do what you guys have done and step out there and say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to take that leap of faith. And I consider it an investment in our community and making our community a better place with more offerings for people who want to come to a brewery or go to a specific kind of restaurant, or whatever it is that your business is doing. You're investing, you're confident enough in our community to support you that you're willing to make that investment. And I think that's great. Mm-hmm. So, but also being a part of the Chamber of Commerce, I've been exposed to a lot of the different things that the Chamber can do. And one of the biggest is the Small Business Development Center and their partnership with the state resources, the university and MTSU. And if you're one of those people that's thinking, hey, I've got an idea, I think I could make this a business successful, I'd highly encourage scheduling some time with them to go over your business plan and do strategies, and they'll open your eyes to things that you may not have considered, and it should hopefully make your business take off a little bit more successfully.
Yeah, that's good advice.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say along those lines, I'm originally from Chattanooga, and back in the early 80s, the Chamber of Commerce and the local government took over the old 3M building that was on the north side of North River, and they turned it into, they called the incubator. Through the SBA, they rented out spaces for upstart businesses and made it very affordable. And
that's cool.
There was offices where there was, copy equipment and shared phones and all this. And the whole thing was to develop business, but help people, that didn't necessarily have the funding to go out.
It's
and
an
rent.
intermediate. It's a small step.
Yeah, it's a small step to help them get off the ground. And I know several people that did that and done very well with it.
That's cool.
That's super interesting. I think obviously in real estate, I'm a self-employed person, but I'm also a part of an organization. So Keller Williams is very helpful in that, but it's still a lot of it falls on my shoulders to be the person that makes my business grow. And I think that was a big reason why I partnered with the J Harmon Home Team. You and I are very similar. We are ideas people. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all day long.
You always say it's shiny things. Shiny things.
I was like, Jonathan, shiny things.
Yes. I saw a shiny bald guy and was like, hey, let's go for it. But anyway, I think having ideas is really great, but if you're really going to take the step forward, finding resources like that and knowing it's going to take a lot more effort. I mean, my strengths are in talking and creating ideas. I took the Clifton assessment, and like the top 10 are like, she talks some more, she networks, she likes to be with people, she talks some more, which is great. But pairing yourself, really understanding who you are and what it is that you lack, pairing yourself with somebody, finding partners that can complete the process. I mean, I can come up with the idea for the rocket, but the person who's going to have the gas to get it off the ground, that's who I really need.
And that's a great point. So Skip mentioned, there's 4 of us partners, and we're all very differently gifted, and different experiences and different just perspectives. And it's 95% of the time it works great. 5% of the time we glare at each other, but anyway, it works.
Not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. But to your point, if you are a lone wolf and you've got that business idea, the Small Business Development Center is definitely a resource where you can go in and find someone that is not you, that can look at it somewhat objectively and go, that's a good idea, good-ish idea.
Right.
Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? So, it's good advice. All right. What else? Any other perceptions of business owners or small business in town? I got one. I got a question. Does Murfreesboro support small business? The community.
Is this a trick question?
No, it's an opinion question.
The community or
Community.
I think you can look around and find a lot of examples of small businesses who are experiencing just a great amount of success and doing very well. And the common thread that I see in those businesses is that their partners and their owners step out of their business and into the community and make connections with people. So I think the businesses that are able to do that are going to have a different level of success. I've seen a lot of businesses that I really was rooting for, that I wanted to make it, not make it. And that always, it hurts me when that happens, because I was at that ribbon cutting. I know the owners and I wanted them to be successful and make it. And then sometimes they don't. And it could be because the business wasn't a great idea. It could be because maybe they're really good at doing something, but they're not good at managing a business. There are lots of different reasons. So I feel like our community will support small businesses, but our community does a better job of supporting small businesses when the ownership and the partners are just out and about.
I would 110% agree with that, because I think we've had this discussion before, even that there's some businesses here, and I'm not going to name any names, but
Yes, please don't.
No, but good idea, but they weren't involved in the community. And, Murfreesboro is growing so much, and there's so much, again, instant gratification. There's so much sensory overload from different things, that if you're not out in the community and making inroads and talking to people and keeping in front of people, you just forgot about. It's not that maybe you have a bad product or a bad service. It's just that, you're not thought
top
about.
of mind. Mm-hmm.
I think I've had this conversation a couple of times, of course, in Tullahoma, where we have a lot of great small businesses, a lot of great local businesses, on a smaller scale than what's in Murfreesboro. I mean, I feel like Murfreesboro is 6 of what Tullahoma is. But the conversation was around kind of what makes a small business, where somebody will say, like, I don't go to Starbucks because, it's
big corporate.
Right. But the reality is that you've got high school students that are working there. You've got somebody local that owns it. If they're involved in the community, that's a big deal. And in my opinion, I feel like any business in your community that's thriving is a good business. Whether you partner with somebody to bring the Starbucks model back, because I have a great big idea, but I don't know how to execute it, so I'm using the Starbucks model. Or if I have a great idea to own a coffee shop and know how to do this, I think both of them are admirable. And if you're involved, then I'm happy to buy whatever frappe you're willing to give me.
It's the cheer syndrome. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you walk into a restaurant, you're treated just normal. You might go back or you might not. But if you go in and they go, "Hey, it's good to see you. How so and so that you'll go back."
That's right.
It's that personal service, and it goes back to getting out in the community and being involved.
Well, and I think that the key here is that you want to stay top of mind, and one way to do that is advertising, and the other way to do that is involvement and PR type stuff, right? So going out, getting involved in your community, putting in the time and the face, right? That's one way. The other alternative is to advertise your way there, and that's very, very expensive, and it's all passive. It's all, here's this, I hope you see it, as opposed to going where the people that you want are.
Right.
I think you got to find that happy medium in that space. I just think that's the most important thing, is that there's no magic bullet, but you got to have a little bit of this, you got to have a little bit of that, you got to have a little bit of the passive advertising, a little bit of the intentional networking and intentional branding. And I think it's important too that when I think of small businesses and I'm in the middle of this conversation, the first thing I'm thinking of is, coffee shops, restaurants, places like that. But then you got your retail boutique shops. You've got your jewelry stores. You've got tool and die shops, people that do metalworking, people that do yard work, people that, there's so many different kinds of small business. And so in some areas, that's pretty much the small business is the name in town, or the name of the game. If you want to get somebody to take care of your yard, you're probably not going with a big company, because I don't know a lot of big companies that come out and cut grass.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kinds of different small businesses, and it could be a retail shop. It could be somebody that makes something in this community that you didn't even realize that was made here.
That's right. That's a good point. All right. Good stuff, y'all. All right. Next thing on our list is, you got 3 minutes, Mr. Bryan, to tell us about Iberia Bank Mortgage.
Cool. Well, we're a full service mortgage company here in Murfreesboro. We have 7 loan officers on our team. We've got dedicated processors to our team. We have a team, I'd say, of probably about 20 employees and on our team that just kind of help people with all of their home financing needs, whether that's getting into the right loans, strategizing ways to avoid having to use an iBuyer if you don't want to, but you feel like, gosh, that would be so easy. You can walk customers through that process and kind of give them some tools that they could put into place so that they don't have to go that route. It could be a refinance, it could be a purchase. We've got all the different products from THDA and rural development, conventional loans, VA, FHA. So anyway, there's just a lot of different ways that people can strategize a home purchase. And we try to have a good conversation with our clients to help them understand the process and why we're choosing the way that we're choosing to go. Because I don't want somebody to be at the Thanksgiving table in a month and a half and be talking with their aunt about the house that they just bought. And the aunt say, well, tell me why you did a FHA loan instead of a conventional. I'd like for the person to be able to have that conversation and really to understand what they're doing.
Sure. And I think one of my favorite things that you do as well is you take people where they are. I mean, we don't always send you folks that are ready to buy right now. And you do a good job of looking at where they are and how do we get where you want to be. And you pull back sometimes, look, your credit score is blank. If you raise it to here, it'll make a difference. So that let's wait 6 months or whatever. And that's awesome. You don't need the right now deal.
Right. That's true.
So good stuff. All right, Skip Webb, tell us about Cedar Glade Brews, man.
Cedar Glade Brews started as, we were home brewers. Actually started, name sought up by one of our partners, Jeremy Weaver. We take our name from something that's unique to the Middle Tennessee, which are the Cedar Glades, which is a rock tree indigenous plant formations that don't see anywhere else. I mean,
Literally in the entire world.
yeah, it's just here. So we kind of take the idea that we think we're a little bit different, a little bit unique to the area. We've been home brewing, gosh, probably both of us since about 2012. About 2018, we actually Jeremy approached me and we started brewing together and
asked you out on a date.
Yeah. I don't say that damn. And in 2019, through a event we were doing through the benefit the Kamari House, we donated to the silent auction, and Jonathan won it. We brought beer to his party as a giveaway, and he got the idea maybe we ought to open a tap room. And Jeremy and I were like, well, okay, sure, whatever. Okay.
Whatever, shut up.
Go away. Please go away. And he was Jonathan was being persistent. And the more we talked about it, and here we are, 2021, putting a brick and mortar together. It's actually within the building, there's two separate places. There's the brewery and then there's the tap room. They're separated by a big wall, but we've opened it up. So you will actually be able to see all of the brewing equipment, seeing the process going on. And it's a true grain to glass. I mean, we're brewing it, kegging it, it's going right to the cooler to be served.
Yep. Moves about 15 feet.
Yeah, it moves about
depending on which vessel it is.
Yeah, which vessel it is. So we've been, we tried for the longest time to find a place here, but finding something that fit our needs was tough as far as zoning and square footage and everything. And we looked across the building where we are now, which is Ridgely. We'll be right behind Chewy's. And we kind of jumped on it and started going headlong into it, doing the construction process. So we're getting close. We're keeping our fingers crossed for a 12/1 opening date. We still think that's reasonable. Still a lot of work to do, but we're getting there slowly. So
slowly but surely. That's right.
We'll be purveying foamy goodness.
That's it. I love it. Rachel, tell us about J Harmon Home Team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely thought that I was going to do this at the beginning and was about to start the spiel, but now I'll do it. I'm Rachel. I'm a part of the J Harmon Home Team. I'm about to hit my 1-year anniversary. I've been with you for
like 2 months,
a year now. Yeah, which is really exciting. But I think the biggest thing the J Harmon Home Team does is they're eager to serve. Before I joined the team, I asked Jonathan if I could take the slogan from him. I was like, do you mind if I use eager to serve in my email? And then eventually he was like, yeah, when you join the team. And so here I am. But we serve a lot of different areas. Obviously, Jonathan started in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Rutherford County area, which is where I was born and raised. But we've expanded into Nashville with Jeff, and then with me in Coffee County, Franklin County, Moore County. I cover all of those areas, less dense areas,
more
lots
cows
of cornfields. right. If there's not a cornfield on the way to my listing, then it makes me a little sad. But
yeah, that means you're in town.
It means I'm in town, right? But I think the biggest thing we focus on is making sure that people get what they need, not what we need. And I said it once on social media. I read it the other day, and I really liked it. That we're just fun-loving people who have fun-loving people, and that's why I like being here.
Love it. Good stuff. Well, folks, I appreciate you guys being on the show today. And shout out to our friend Trent Denton over there, also a member of the J Harmon Home Team, but most importantly, proprietor of Spread the Positive. If you have a positive story to share, you should definitely meet up with Trent. And by the way, I forgot to do this last week. We are coming at you from Cedar Glade Studios. So this is the Spread the Positive studio inside the Cedar Glade building, which is awesome. So we've got
very cool
Trent right across the hall from our office, and couldn't be happier with that. So
hey, I had an article that I wanted to talk about.
Do it.
Yeah. Okay. So I was reading on the Zillow thing earlier, and I saw another one that was really interesting. And I thought Bryan would find it interesting. But there was a guy that had a haunted house, and he defaulted on his loan. He couldn't pay it anymore. And you know what happened to his house? It got repossessed. Woo!
Yes. That is fantastic.
I thought you'd find it interesting.
Rachel Ferrell, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hey, my favorite one was actually, did you hear about the mortgage officer or the loan officer that was going to offer 0% financing?
Tell me all about it.
No one was interested.
It had no interest.
No interest. He couldn't get it off the ground.
We could keep going, but I think we'll stop.
Oh boy, we're going to bad jokes.
This is Skip's forte. Hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next week, and hope you have a good rest of the week. If you need real estate stuff, call us. If you need mortgages, call him. And here real soon, when you need beer, come down here.